Walk into any Apple store today and you will see people lining up to drop $1,200 on the latest iPhone without blinking. That phone will be outdated in 2 years, cracked in 6 months, and replaced because the battery died or the next model came out. Now imagine taking that same $1,200 and buying a sedan that will run for the next 15 years, cover 500,000 miles, and still start every single morning regardless of weather. I am not talking about fantasy cars or theoretical engineering. I am talking about 5 specific sedans you can buy right now for less than the cost of a high-end smartphone, and every single one of them has a documented track record of hitting 500,000 miles when maintained properly. These are not project cars rotting in a field. These are vehicles that taxi drivers, delivery companies, and people who actually need transportation they can trust have been running into the ground for decades. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button because I break down the vehicles the market forgot about every single week. And drop a comment below telling me which sedan you are driving right now and what mileage you are at. I want to hear your high mileage stories because they prove what I am about to tell you is real. Now let us get into these 5 sedans that will outlive your phone, your laptop, and probably your refrigerator. Starting at number 5, we have the Volvo S60 and S80 from the early 2000s, specifically from 2001 to 2007. Most people think of Volvo and immediately picture boxy station wagons driven by suburban families obsessed with safety ratings. What they do not realize is that Volvo engineers in Sweden were building sedans designed to survive Scandinavian winters, rough roads, and neglectful owners for decades. The S60 is the smaller sports sedan. The S80 is the larger executive sedan. Both share the same underlying engineering philosophy that Volvo has followed since the 1960s. Build it heavy, build it simple, make it last. These cars were never designed to be the fastest or the most technologically advanced. They were designed to run in -30-degree winters in Stockholm and still start on the first crank 20 years later. The most common engine you will find in these sedans at the $1,200 price point is the 2.4-liter inline 5-cylinder naturally aspirated engine producing around 168 horsepower. This engine is not exciting. It sounds like a tractor at idle, and it will not win any drag races. But it is one of the most over-engineered 5-cylinder engines ever put in a production car. Cast iron block, simple port fuel injection, timing belt that needs replacement every 105,000 miles, and an oiling system that mechanics describe as bulletproof if you change the oil every 5,000 miles. I have personally seen multiple examples of these 5-cylinder Volvos exceeding 400,000 miles on original internals with nothing but oil changes, timing belt services, and basic maintenance. The automatic transmissions in these Volvos are generally the Aisin-sourced units, the same transmissions that Toyota and Lexus use in their vehicles. They shift smoothly, hold up under normal driving, and as long as you change the fluid every 60,000 miles, they will last the life of the vehicle. Current pricing on a 2001 to 2007 Volvo S60 or S80 with over 200,000 miles sits between $800 and $1,500 depending on condition and location. At that price point, you are looking at cars with cosmetic issues, worn suspension bushings, maybe a check engine light for an oxygen sensor, or an evaporative emissions code. The important thing is the engine and transmission. If compression is good and the transmission shifts without slipping or harsh engagement, everything else is fixable for a few $100s. When you inspect one of these Volvos, timing belt service history is critical. If it has not been done, and the car is approaching or past the 105,000-mile interval, budget $600 to $800 for that service immediately, because if the belt breaks, the engine is destroyed. Check for any oil leaks around the front crankshaft seal and the rear main seal, because both can develop slow leaks over time. Check the PCV system, because a clogged PCV can cause oil consumption and rough idle. Test all the electronic features, because window regulators, seat heaters, and the climate control panel can fail over time. But parts are cheap, and repairs are straightforward. The reality with these Volvos is simple. They are boring, slow, and unfashionable. Nobody wants them, which is exactly why they are so cheap. But the people who do buy them and maintain them properly report mileage numbers that sound fictional. I know a delivery driver who bought a 2004 S60 with 187,000 miles for $900 3 years ago. He is now at 311,000 miles, and the only repairs have been a timing belt, a set of struts, and routine maintenance. Number 4 takes us to the Lexus LS400 and LS430 from 1995 to 2006. This is the sedan that made the entire automotive world rethink what reliability meant. When Lexus launched the LS400 in 1989, it was Toyota's declaration that they could build a luxury car that would humiliate Mercedes and BMW in every measurable category. And they succeeded. The LS series became legendary, not because of cutting-edge technology or flashy styling, but because of engineering so conservative and so overbuilt that the cars simply refused to break. The LS400 from 1995 to 2000 came with a 4.0-liter V8, making 260 horsepower. The LS430 from 2001 to 2006 upgraded to a 4.3-liter V8, making 290 horsepower. Both engines are part of Toyota's UZ engine family, and these V8s are frequently cited by mechanics as some of the most indestructible engines ever mass-produced. Aluminum block, dual overhead cams, variable valve timing on later models, and an oiling system designed with such massive tolerances that even neglectful owners struggle to kill them. There are documented cases of LS400s exceeding 600,000 miles on original engines without ever opening the valve covers. Taxi companies in the Middle East and Africa run these cars until the body literally falls apart, then pull the engine and transmission and install them in another chassis. The transmission is a 4 or 5-speed automatic depending on the year, built by Toyota with the same philosophy as the engine. Make it smooth, make it reliable, over-engineer every component. Fluid changes every 60,000 miles are the only requirement, and if you follow that schedule, the transmission will outlast everything around it. Current pricing on a high-mileage LS400 or LS430 sits between $1,000 and $2,000 for examples with 250,000 to 350,000 miles. At that price point, you are buying cars that look rough cosmetically. The clear coat is peeling, the leather is cracked, the wood trim has faded, and there are probably a dozen warning lights on the dashboard for things like air suspension compressors, navigation system failures, and oxygen sensors. None of that matters if your goal is transportation that will run forever. The engine and transmission in these cars are worth more than the asking price by themselves. When you inspect an LS, check for any signs of oil leaks around the valve covers and the oil pan, because gaskets can weep over time. Check the radiator and coolant hoses, because plastic components get brittle after 20 years and can fail. Listen for any ticking from the top of the engine on cold start, because that indicates low oil pressure or worn cam lobes, which is extremely rare but possible on neglected examples. Test drive the car and pay attention to how the transmission shifts. It should be smooth and imperceptible. If you feel hard shifts or slipping, there may be internal damage, although even that is usually fixable with a fluid change and filter replacement. The beauty of the LS series is that parts are available everywhere, because the drivetrain components are shared across Toyota and Lexus lineups. A water pump costs $80. A starter is $120. Brake rotors and pads for all four corners run $200. You are getting luxury car comfort and refinement with Toyota Camry repair costs. Number 3 brings us to the Toyota Avensis from 2003 to 2009. This is the sedan that most Americans have never heard of because it was never officially sold in the United States. But in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, the Avensis is legendary. It is essentially the European cousin to the Camry, built on a similar platform but tuned specifically for international markets where buyers prioritize durability over features. Taxi fleets in London, Paris, and Dubai run these cars for hundreds of thousands of miles because they simply do not break. The Avensis came with several engine options, but the most common and most reliable is the 1.8-liter and 2.0-liter four-cylinder engines. Both are part of Toyota's ZZ and AZ engine families, the same engines that powered millions of Corollas and Camrys worldwide. These are simple, naturally aspirated, port fuel-injected engines with timing chains instead of belts. No turbochargers, no direct injection, no variable displacement, just straightforward engineering that prioritizes longevity over performance. The 1.8-liter makes around 129 horsepower, which sounds weak until you realize the Avensis weighs less than most modern sedans and returns 35 miles per gallon on the highway. The 2.0-liter bumps power to 147 horsepower and still delivers excellent fuel economy. Both engines are known for exceeding 300,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and spark plugs. The transmissions are either a 5- or 6-speed manual or a CVT automatic, depending on the model, year, and market. The manual transmissions are virtually indestructible. The CVT units are less proven, but still reliable if the fluid is changed every 60,000 miles. For buyers in markets where the Avensis is available, current pricing on a high-mileage example sits between $800 and $1,500 for cars with over 200,000 miles. These are often former taxi vehicles or company fleet cars that have been maintained on schedule but look worn from years of hard use. The interiors are basic, the technology is outdated, and the styling is forgettable. But the mechanicals are Toyota, which means they will run until the heat death of the universe if you take care of them. Inspection points focus on rust and suspension wear. Check the rocker panels, wheel wells, and undercarriage for corrosion, because European and Middle Eastern climates can be harsh on metal. Check the front struts and rear shocks, because they wear out around 150,000 miles and affect ride quality. Listen for any rattles from the exhaust system, because hangers and mufflers can rust through. Check the cooling system, because radiators and water pumps are normal wear items that need replacement every 100,000 miles or so. If the engine runs smooth, the transmission shifts properly, and there is no significant rust. You are looking at a sedan that will serve you reliably for years at a price that is laughable compared to its capability. Number 2 takes us to the Honda Accord from 2003 to 2007, specifically the 7th generation. This is the Accord that Honda built during their golden era when reliability was the singular focus and cost-cutting had not yet infected the engineering department. These Accords were sold globally in massive numbers, and the examples still on the road today have proven their durability in every climate and driving condition imaginable. The most common engine is the 2.4-liter K24 four-cylinder, making 160 horsepower in base models and 166 in higher trims. This engine is part of Honda's legendary K-Series family that powered everything from Accords to CR-Vs to Acura TSXs. It is an aluminum block, dual overhead cam, iVTEC-equipped engine that revs smoothly, delivers excellent fuel economy, and lasts essentially forever when maintained. Timing chains instead of belts mean no expensive replacement services. Port fuel injection means no carbon buildup issues. Simple oiling system with a robust oil pump means as long as you change the oil every 5,000 miles, internal wear is minimal even at extremely high mileage. There are documented cases of 7th-generation Accords exceeding 500,000 miles on original engines and transmissions. A mechanic in Wisconsin bought a 2006 Accord with 340,000 miles for $1,100 2 years ago as an experiment to see how long it would last. He is now past 420,000 miles with zero engine or transmission work, just oil changes, brake pads, and one set of struts. The 5-speed automatic transmission in these Accords is generally reliable if the fluid is changed every 60,000 miles. Early examples from 2003 and 2004 had some issues with transmission failures, but by 2005, Honda had addressed the problems, and the later units are solid. The 5-speed manual transmission is absolutely bulletproof and will last the life of the vehicle with nothing but clutch replacements every 150,000 miles or so. Current pricing on a 2003 to 2007 Honda Accord with over 200,000 miles sits between $1,000 and $1,800, depending on condition and location. At this price point, you are looking at cars with cosmetic wear, possibly some rust on the rockers and wheel wells, maybe a check engine light for an evaporative emissions code or an oxygen sensor. The important metrics are engine compression, transmission function, and frame integrity. If those check out, everything else is fixable cheaply. When inspecting an Accord from this generation, check the engine for any signs of oil consumption because some K24 engines can burn oil if the piston rings are worn. This is not common, but it happens, especially on neglected examples. Check the transmission fluid condition. It should be red or pink, not brown or burnt smelling. Dark fluid indicates the transmission was never serviced, and internal damage may be present. Check for rust on the rear subframe and the front control arm mounting points, because these areas are prone to corrosion in salt belt states. Test all the power windows and door locks, because regulators and actuators can fail over time, although parts are cheap and replacement is straightforward. Listen for any rattles from the exhaust system, because the catalytic converter heat shields can come loose and create noise. The reality with these Accords is that parts are everywhere and dirt cheap because Honda sold millions of them. A complete front brake job with rotors and pads costs $150 in parts. A set of 4 struts runs $200. A water pump is $60. You are getting a sedan that will run for another 200,000 miles with repair costs that are lower than most economy cars. And here it is. Number 1. The Toyota Camry from 1997 to 2006. Specifically the 4th and 5th generation models. This is the sedan I would personally buy tomorrow if I needed transportation that would absolutely, positively start every single day for the next decade and cost almost nothing to maintain. The Camry from this era represents Toyota at their engineering peak. No cost-cutting, no chasing trends, no planned obsolescence. Just a sedan designed to run for 300,000 miles as the baseline expectation, with 500,000 miles being entirely achievable with proper maintenance. The 4th generation Camry from 1997 to 2001 came with either a 2.2-liter four-cylinder, making 133 horsepower, or a 3.0-liter V6, making 194 horsepower. The fifth generation from 2002 to 2006 upgraded to a 2.4-liter four-cylinder, making 157 horsepower, or a 3.0-liter V6, making 210 horsepower. Both the four-cylinder and V6 engines are legendary for durability. The four-cylinder engines are part of Toyota's S and AZ families, simple cast iron or aluminum block designs with timing chains, port fuel injection, and oiling systems that are nearly impossible to damage. The V6 engines are part of the MZ family, equally robust, equally proven. I have personally worked on Camrys from this generation with over 400,000 miles that still run like new. A customer of mine, an elderly man who bought a 1999 Camry LE with the four-cylinder new in 1999, recently brought it to me for an inspection before donating it to his grandson. The odometer showed 487,000 miles. I went through the entire car expecting to find worn bearings, low compression, transmission slippage, something that indicated the car was near the end of its life. Compression test showed all four cylinders within 5 pounds per square inch of each other, well within factory spec. Transmission shifted smoothly. Engine had no leaks, no unusual noises, nothing that suggested it was anything other than a well-maintained vehicle. The only reason he was giving it away was because he stopped driving. That Camry will probably hit 600,000 miles before it needs anything major. Current pricing on a 1997 to 2006 Toyota Camry with 200,000 to 300,000 miles sits between $800 and $1,500, depending on condition, location, and how motivated the seller is. At this price point, you are buying cars that look rough, faded paint, cracked bumpers, worn interior fabric, possibly a dent or two. The technology is ancient. The styling is boring. Nobody will be impressed when you pull up. But the engine and transmission are worth 10 times what you are paying, because they will run for another 200,000 miles with basic maintenance. Every auto parts store in America stocks everything for them. A full timing chain service costs $400 at an independent shop. A remanufactured transmission runs $1,200 installed, which is still less than the cost of one major repair on a modern luxury car. Brake pads and rotors for all four corners cost $180 in parts. An alternator is $90. A starter is $80. You can keep this car running for another decade, spending less per year than most people spend on their phone bill. So there it is, 5 sedans that will hit 500,000 miles and cost less than a new iPhone. The Volvo S60 and S80 with their Swedish over-engineering, the Lexus LS 400 and LS 430 with engines that refuse to die, the Toyota Avensis that nobody in America knows about but the rest of the world swears by, the Honda Accord from the golden era of Japanese reliability, and the king of them all, the Toyota Camry that has been proving doubters wrong for 25 years. None of these cars will impress anyone. None of them have Apple CarPlay, backup cameras, or heated steering wheels. What they have is something far more valuable. Proven durability, cheap parts, simple engineering that you can fix with basic tools in your driveway. The next time someone tells you that you need to spend $30,000 on a new car to get reliable transportation, remember these 5 sedans exist. For the cost of a smartphone, you can buy a vehicle that will run longer than most modern cars ever will. If this video helped, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me which of these 5 you would choose and why, and subscribe because I expose the vehicles the dealerships do not want you to know about every single week. Drive safe, change your oil, and that $1,200 sedan will still be running when that iPhone is in a landfill.